Cookie, you've played in a lot of big games, obviously Origin and Test matches, but how will it be to play in a grand final on Sunday?
Yeah, mate, there have been definitely some highlights, being able to do those couple of things that you mentioned, but this is the one, I think from a young kid, this is the one you want to do. You want to play in an NRL grand final. You want to go on and win that grand final. All those other representatives honours have been great, but this is a missing piece that you definitely want to tick off in your career, that's for sure.
Cookie, it's probably almost a second grand final week of sorts for you. You went super close to, or how close to playing all those years ago on the back of 4 first grade games then. Now you're the incumbent New South Wales Australian hooker, and it's been a long time between those 2 weeks. How do you reflect on that journey when you're coming into a grand final week like this one?
Yeah, it has, mate. It's been a hell of a journey. I remember back to that grand final week, when Mick got injured, and a lot of people thought I was going to be playing, and I sort of knew that I wouldn't be playing. Moses had played a lot of footy that year in the first grade squad. I'd only played 2 games, one of them only a few minutes, I think. So it was definitely the right choice to get out. Not that I wouldn't have gone out there and done my best, but as a coach, I understand why Des put him in that situation. But that's rugby league, but it's definitely built to where I am today. It's been an awesome journey. The last couple of years, a lot of the same boys are here, and we've built some great combinations here and learned from the experiences in the past, and we've got to where we need to, and got one more job to do.
I know you get asked about that a lot, mate, just given the trajectory your career took and the persistence it took and all that sort of stuff. But does it sort of hit home for you again when you're now right there within touching distance of that ultimate prize to go with all those other honours that you've picked up?
Yeah, it's a hard one at the moment, mate, because you're just trying to sort of stay relaxed. And I know you got to soak it all up with grand final week. It's very exciting, but try and best treat it just as another game. And hopefully I can sort of, learn from those experiences of those big games of Origin and represent Australia and stuff like that, just to use those games and experience this big game and try and make it seem as normal as possible, and just let the experience itself bring out that extra energy that wouldn't be needed come Sunday. But I definitely think hopefully if everything goes the right way, we get the win. I'll be able to sit back in the off season and look back. It's a lot of family, my wife, my mum and dad, all my family have helped me get to this position, and I'll be able to sit back and look at the journey and be proud of what I've done. But we've got to make sure we get the job done first. So it's been a whole lot of hard work, and it would definitely be a hard one to lose, that's for sure.
Does it feel different? Last one from me, but does it feel inescapably feel different to those big games that you've played in before, the build-up and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it does feel a bit different. I think those games come and go so quickly. Those Origin series, it's you win the games, you move on to club footy, go through all 3 of them, you win the series, and before you're back at club footy, it's all forgotten. Where this has been a whole season build-up. It's even a couple of years. You talk about the last couple of years, we've been to prelims and just fallen short. We've learnt from those experiences. And this year, back to pre-season day 1 when the first younger boys went in there, and once all the team got back there, we've set out goals we wanted to get done, and like the likes of top 4 winning the first week, and we're ticking them off, and it's the last one to get done. And it's definitely a different build-up because it's been a whole year sort of process thing, and for a lot of us, a few years.
Thanks, mate. Helensburgh sends us love.
Thanks, guys.
It's Matt from Wild Water Sports here. I was just wondering, obviously there's been so much talk about this club in the last few years when it comes to preliminary finals. After you got over that hump on Friday night, how much time did you allow yourself to sort of sit back and enjoy that before you switched your focus onto this game?
Probably a day, mate. Just like probably sounds a bit weird, but the same as every week. So give that next day, sort of just enjoy the win and stuff like that. But obviously being in prelim, it was a good little one to get over. It's obviously losing the last 3 in a row. So we enjoyed the moment. It was a special moment, but you could just see that the boys were pretty switched on the next day. We understood what we'd done, and it was a great accomplishment. But we wanted to straight away switch our focus on and make sure we're ready to go. We've put ourselves into this situation. We understand how hard it is after the last couple of years to get there. We definitely don't want to waste this opportunity.
you've obviously had, Cody and Adam to pass to for a couple of years now. Adam's last game with the club on Sunday. What's it been like playing with him, and what kind of influence has he had on your career?
Well, I've said it before. He's one of the main reasons I come to South Sydney. We had some big name players there as well, but as a hooker, and you look at the spine that you'd be going to play with, and Reynolds was the one. He's the reason I wanted to go to South Sydney. So it's going to be sad. I think, at the start of the final series, when I first realised, the games are starting to count down, the training session's starting to count down that to our final time in South Sydney colours, and for him for the club. So I know he's not going to talk about it. I know when he doesn't want to make a big deal about it. He just wants to get the job done. But in the back of my mind, I know I want to go out there and do a good job for this team, but definitely to send Reno out on the final note that he deserves from this club, because he's been the heart and soul of this club for so long.
And mate, on a personal level for you, rightly or wrongly, you have copped a lot of criticism when the team's lost in prelims in previous years. How good did it feel on a personal level to have such a great game on Friday night? Yeah,
look, I understand. If you're going to cop that criticism, being one of the senior players and an important role too. So when the team loses, you know that might come your way as well, and I fully accept that. So I'm a big part of especially the spine as well. So I'm happy to take that responsibility on. But it was great to win that prelim. Obviously we'd lost a couple, but to be honest, going to the first one, on the weekend's game, I felt really confident we're going to get the job done. And I think that's just off the back of all the hard work we've put in this year and how much more consistent we have been as a team in the brand of footy we've been playing this year compared to the last couple of years.
Great. Thanks, mate.
Thanks.
Cookie, it's Scott Bailey from AAP. Mate, on Reno, at the start of the year, obviously when there was a Willie Woney contract sort of stuff going on, there was criticism. I mean, Cooper Cronk was one guy who came out and said, well, he hasn't got the club through preliminary finals the last years and whatnot, and maybe it is the right call for him to move on. Do you think that kind of stuff's driven him in some ways? Like, is he the kind of guy that wants to prove people wrong?
I think, yeah, definitely. I think a lot of athletes, you'll find that when they're sort of spoken about, they want to prove people wrong. I think it's just in our nature. I think it's part of all of us. And I think you got to remember there's a lot of teams out there that aren't even in the finals, aren't even in the top 8 down the bottom ladder, where we've been in a few prelims. So I think he's done an outstanding job to lead this team around. And I don't understand why there's so much pressure that sort of falls on the halves, on the halfback these days. It's a different game now, and I believe that the role is shared across the whole board of how the result comes out. It shouldn't fall back on a halfback. And like I said, he's guided this team, a lot of it on the back of his leadership and his kicking game to 4 prelims in a row and now to a grand final, not to mention that he won the grand final, in 14 as well. So he's been one hell of a player for this club.
When we've spoken to him this year about it all, like he's never really seemed to sulk about it, right? Like he's always just seemed pretty matter of fact, but also determined, like there's a bit of a fire in his eye about it. Have you sort of noticed that about him as well, for especially that early part of the year?
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I think you can see that fire in his eyes when it was all sort of settled down and he realised that he was obviously moving on. He knew he wanted to make sure he left this club in a great position, which he will do. But I know he's very hungry for a long time now to guide this team to the grand final, and he wants to go out there and make sure we get the job done before he leaves.
Thanks, mate.
Hey, Cookie, it's Trent from 10. I know obviously there's a big part to play with Reno leaving the club, but rugby league's going to lose one of its great characters in Benji Marshall come Sunday. He might not be remembered as a Rabbitoh per se, but what do you think he means to rugby league and to be, like, it's a fairy tale, isn't it? It's 16 years between premierships. It's a very special moment for Benji.
Is he retiring?
Wayne told us he is.
Oh, well, Wayne came out in the media the other day and said no one can tell him when to retire, so I don't think he should be telling people when to retire either. I think Benji might have another couple of years in him, never know, but I'll leave that up to Benji. But whether or not he's playing on or not, I'm very grateful I got the opportunity to play alongside such a superstar player. I still remember when he coming to the competition, watching him grow up, going to school the next day, trying to emulate his footwork that he'd done in the game before, do what he'd done and try and reenact his highlights. So it's now I get to play alongside him, passing the ball. No matter what he does after this, it's been a special moment to be able to play alongside him, and he's definitely one of the greatest players to play this game.